Hey guys, Hacksploit here, back again with another video, and welcome back to the web application penetration testing series. Alright, so in this video we're going to be looking at web application firewalls, or WAFs as they're called. Now this may be a new term for you, and do not worry, this is now when we move into a more professional level. And again, this is what I've been talking about, is most people out or most documentation out there won't cover the most important industry standards. Now when I'm talking about web application firewalls, what I mean is these are the protection or these are the mitigation procedures put in place to protect a web application from attacks, obviously. Now, as a penetration tester, or if you're looking at it from a white hat or a black hat perspective, from white hat perspective, it's always important to have a web application firewall, and I'll probably make another video showing you how to set it up. It's really easy and it's free, and it'll probably remove about 20% of attacks. Okay, so that's if you're a white hat. Now, if you're a black hat and you're targeting or you're performing a penetration test legally on a website or a web application, usually what the employer will tell you is they'll give you a scope of the project, and again, they might give you the source code, etc., etc. You get the idea. You have your white box testing, black box, and gray box. But coming back to the firewall, most of them wouldn't know that there is a firewall, and that's because the person who set the website up for them in terms of hosting, or the web application for them, will in most cases on a professional level have a web application firewall. Now you might be a bit confused and you might be saying, well, why is this important when performing a penetration test? Well, this is important because firstly, it's something that most pen testers overlook, and if you know this, you've got an ace up your sleeve. Alright, so essentially what's happening is, if it's being used, if a web application firewall is being used, you obviously first need to detect it, and I'm going to show you how to detect it in this video using a special tool that I don't think you've ever heard of, but it's also industry standard. So this is a real secret. I don't know, for some reason it's not just it's something that just hasn't caught up yet, but hopefully after this video you'll know about it. Alright, so essentially the purpose of a web application firewall is it protects the web application, from a firewall point of view, in the sense that it blocks attacks, as one would expect them to come. Now, what does this mean for you? Well, this means that you will need to manipulate any type of data that is going to be encoded. All right. So what this means is, if you're performing a penetration test that involves you manipulating data and sending it back to the web application, similar to what we did in the previous video, then you need to encode it in a specific way to bypass the firewall. Otherwise, it will be blocked by the firewall. And I'm sure most of you have actually done this before. If you're just amateur penetration testers and you've just begun, you'll find that for some reason your requests aren't being processed. And that's because there's a firewall set up to prevent these malicious requests from being processed. Okay, so again, web application firewall is really important. Now, looking at the tool we'll be using, the tool has actually a very funny name. For some of you might find it hilarious. It is called WAFW00F. Now, for those of you who have heard of it, you pretty much already know how to detect a web application firewall, but it's really very simple. Alright, so just open up your terminal, and what you want to do is you want to type in WAFW00F. Alright, so this is how it is going to be spelt. So it's WAFW00F with two zeros, and the syntax is pretty simple. If I just hit enter, as you can see, WAFW00F, a web application firewall detection tool. Alright, so credits go to the author. It's a tool that's been there since I think almost the last version of Backtrack and the first version of Kali. So again, quite an old tool. When I say old, I mean, I mean that with respect, given the fact that it's really useful, and I've used it a lot because it saves you a lot of time. And what I'm talking about is, so let's say we want to scan a website. Okay, in this case, I have my WordPress server running here, and as you can see, the site is being hosted on 192.168.1.101. Alright, so I have that IP opened up in my browser, and as you can see, it's a WordPress site, and this site is vulnerable, and this is what we're going to be performing later on the penetration tests on. But for now, we want to find out whether it has a firewall. Now, by default, I know it doesn't have a firewall, but let's see what WAFW00F would tell us. Alright, so the syntax is very simple. As you can see, you just type in WAFW00F and you enter your URL or your URL, so you can enter as many as you like. Okay, so it'll give you an example there of how to go about it. Make sure you enter your HTTP or HTTPS protocol, and we just let's try that out. So WAFW, and we specify our protocol HTTP in this case, and the IP address 192.168.1.101. All right, now in this case, I'm pretty sure that it won't detect any web application firewall. So let me just hit enter. And as you can see, no web application firewall detected by the generic detection. All right, now this is very, very advanced, and this tool is an industry standard. And if it does tell you that there is no web application firewall, then by all means, I can guarantee that it does not have a firewall. Now let's look at one of my sites that I currently own. It's a site that I use. It's actually my web development company that obviously we use for web development. Now I've protected this site with a web application firewall provided by Cloudflare. Now for those of you who are web developers, and when you're performing your hosting, you know that using Cloudflare is awesome because it allows you to optimize your site for speed. It allows you to purge assets and make your site faster, protect it, and again protect it from DDoS attacks, etc., etc. All the good stuff. So let's see if it will actually detect this. So I'm going to type in WAFW. I know that name is really, really funny. The protocol is HTTPS like so. And I'm going to specify the site, which is elgonstudios.com. All right, elgonstudios.com. And if I hit enter, as you can see, it's going to start checking the site. Give it a few seconds. It shouldn't take a lot of time. And as you can see, the site elgonstudios.com is behind Cloudflare. All right. Now, what this means is that most of the attacks that involve manipulation of data will be in some way blocked, and you won't get your response back the way you wanted it, and the render wouldn't be the same. All right, now again, as you can see, it's detected that it is behind a web application firewall. Now the next step is how to encode these, encode your requests that you're going to be sending to the web application, and that's what we'll be looking at as we increase the security level using the damn vulnerable web application. All right, so I thought this is something that I really need to share with you. Again, it's going to really help you, and I promise you this is something that if you go for a job interview or you're performing a penetration test for a company, this is something that most of the network or systems administrators are very keen on. They want to know whether you really know your stuff and whether you're really up to date with how to detect, first of all, because information gathering is really important. And as you can see, this tool is fantastic. And once you know there's a firewall, you then have a better idea of how to target, and you won't be wasting time. Again, that's something that most of the amateurs or beginners do. They waste a lot of time trying different commands that they've seen, but they find they see that it doesn't work, and they're like, how's this possible? Am I doing something wrong? The truth is, the web application is probably well protected. So again, do not use this for any malicious purposes. Again, this is simply an information gathering tool. And yeah, that's going to be it for this video. I hope you found value in this video. If you did, please leave a like or a thumbs up, depending on what you call it. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments section on my social networks, or you can write up your questions on the website, and I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you so much for the support, guys, and I'll be seeing you in the next video. Peace.